Hey guys, it's Casey. I'm making a video tonight about parent shaming. I'm going to cover what I have dealt with in my life as being a mother and some of the parent shaming that I myself personally have dealt with. One of the things I'm going to touch base on is a lot of people, when a parent's in an abusive relationship, they will actually parent shame that person, and they'll say stuff along the lines like, well, you allowed that abuser to hit you in front of the kids, so that makes you a bad parent, that makes you a bad mom, I can't believe you would do that, I would never let anybody do that to me. What a lot of people don't realize with that is abusers can sometimes actually take their aggression out on the children too, and I know in my case, I would have rather had the aggression turned towards me versus towards one of my children. Another thing the abusers are good at is control. Any abuser loves to control people. And so a lot of people will say stuff along the lines like, well, you stayed in that situation for however long you stayed in it. You let your kids go through that. That makes you a bad parent. That's not the case, because abusers are actually very good at brainwashing people into thinking that they're a horrible parent, that they wouldn't be able to raise their kids on their own without the abuser. And abusers will also use along the lines, if you have mental health problems, they'll say, well, if you take off with my kids, then I'm going to have you proven unfit. That way I can take the kids from you and you won't get them because you don't deserve them and you're a horrible mom. And a lot of the reasons some people don't leave a situation with kids is because at that time they may not financially have a way to support those kids, and so they're doing it in a weird form to protect those kids, because if they would decide to leave the abuser and they didn't have anywhere for them and the kids go, then that could be the state coming in and taking the kids from them, and then they could turn around and hand the kids back to the abuser, and then without the other parent there, then the abuser could in fact start inflicting the abuse on the children. And another thing I have dealt with is when I was a single parent raising my 4 oldest ones, was I had to deal with a lot of parent shaming about that I had 4 kids at my age. And I also had to deal with people, basically making me feel bad that I made the decision to not let my abuser see the kids. And that wasn't the case. If anyone knows me well enough, they know that I did everything possible to make it to where my abuser could be civilized towards me and he could see his kids, and the abuser decided not to do that. I remember years ago, I was actually in Aldi shopping with 4 kids. It's a nightmare. And I was shopping, getting my stuff, and then I was over on the counter bagging up the stuff, and I had a lady come up to me and she's like, let me help you. And I was like, okay, kind of a little weird, why are you trying to help me? She's like, I'm so sorry for what them people were saying. Well, I'm confused, so I'm thinking, okay, what are you talking about? Well, apparently, I guess there was 2 older people that were in the store that they were parent shaming me. They were like, I can't believe she would have that many kids, and she doesn't look old enough to have that many kids, and it should just be a shame that she has that many kids. I've dealt with females telling me stuff along the lines of, you should be ashamed to be your age and have 4 kids, that's just a shame and all this stuff. And they also made the comment, you should be ashamed to have 4 kids and not have a dad raising them and all this stuff. And I posted a post on Facebook the day that happened. I said, I'm not ashamed that I have 4 kids, because I took on that responsibility of having 4 kids when I decided to bring them into this world, and I'm not ashamed that I was raising my kids on my own at that time, because I made the decision to not go back to the toxic situation I was in, and that was to benefit my kids, to cause them from not having more damage than they'd already had watching the abuse and stuff go on. So if you really don't know the true story and you don't know really the whole story about it, if you see a mom or even a dad out there and they've got maybe 5 or 6 kids, you really don't have a right to parent shame them. And, another thing parents are notorious for, other parents, I've seen it, is they will parent shame and they'll be like, well, that's not how I do my kids. That's not how I raise my kids, But yet, every child is different. Every child has a different technique that works for them. Every child has a different technique that does not work for them. So, and I've always believed in the saying my grandma has said, don't point out other people's backyard or back porch being dirty if yours ain't clean.